You're watching Man of Metropolis. Today's guest is Russell Tovey. I'm Seth Travis. I'm a creative director here in New York City and also founder of Man of Metropolis and Metropolis Report.
What was beautiful about Looking is that you had Michael Landon's blueprint and ideas with Andrew Haigh, but you sort of were allowed to improvise. So it was really amazing to connect with Jonathan because I feel like we had such a great energy that we were able to kind of go everywhere. And through that, they went, well, we need to see more of this. So then the second season came back and then it was made a regular. And then that's how that grew. But I knew that it was special because I'd always been offered lots of gay roles before and lots of projects, and I'd played gay a few times. But for me, for me to properly go for it, I wanted it to feel like the right thing. And for me, at that stage of my career, it felt like a choice to go, okay, here I am. I'm an out gay man, but here I am playing really like openly gay in a gay show. This feels like important, and just to work with Andrew just felt like, well, this is the one. So, but you had no idea, you know, I feel like now if that show had come out, it would have a completely different impact. I felt at the time we were kind of picked apart too much or not allowed to just be. There was an apprehension for it appealing to everyone and whatever everybody needed. For like everybody, there was a lot of unhappy people about the show.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, it's like, I think if I'm not, the movie came out in 2016, right? I think social media and the fact that kind of people having the power to sort of shout their ideas or
They were
criticism
loud.
You know,
I mean, that's the way. Well, that is what it is. That's know, every show gets that. You know, some things you do, and there's high praise. Some things you do, and absolutely people tear it to shreds. That's just what the internet is. But there was very loud voices in the blogosphere, in the gay blogosphere, that were very vocal at the beginning, vocally anti-Looking.
Got it.
But you know, on first judgment of the pilot, and then as the show went on, they changed their minds. But by that time, I felt like the damage had been done. And, you know, as a show that was, you know, deemed niche, it kind of, it took some of the magic out of the opportunity for so many people to take it on face value and enjoy it, because there was too much noise around it and expectations that a lot of people felt weren't fulfilled. But for me, that project is one of my most happiest and proudest shows I've ever worked on, and the whole experience from beginning to end, it was just joyous. So that I could talk about. I can talk about Looking as a fan. It's a show that I can watch even though I'm in it, but objectively watch it and enjoy it and get excited about. I know what's Dom doing with the Chicken Shack, and I can't believe like Augustine's doing that, and Doris. Oh my God, didn't it break up? And it's like, you know, it's.
And I loved Doris's character.
Have you heard her talk art? You know, she came on talk art recently.
Oh my God, I have to find that one.
Mate, because she now makes art. She's been painting and drawing, and she's brilliant. And she came on talk art, and it's kind of like had a bit of a renaissance for her.
Oh my gosh. I mean, my last commentary about Looking, because I want to make sure, you know, we use your time for the present stuff too, is just, you know, like I'm 40. I grew up watching Philadelphia because it was my way of not going to gay bars, to scare me to not go, because I was afraid of getting AIDS and dying, you know, like a lot of people probably in the 90s, early 2000s.
Well, I'm 39, so I'm like your generation of just being terrified.
Yeah, super conservative Christian home. I sang in church till I was 25.
Wow.
And so Brokeback Mountain came out, and my husband and I, of course, we've been together 15 years, married 5, but we were not dating when that movie came out. We met 6 months later. We both came out the month after that movie came out.
Wow.
Kind of coming to Looking, the reason why I think Looking means so much to us is that series and that storyline, and especially the film, I felt spoke to us and sort of our experiences and our life and our relationship specifically, and you know, the long distance and the things that we've had to go through. But anyway, I wanted you to know how much that series and that film means.
Well, I think what was so brilliant about it is that it was post AIDS, and it was post a lot of things, and it was in the middle of when uh, people could marry, you know what I mean, and people were starting to have kids, and suddenly there was this heterosexual blueprint that we had sort of either avoided or not been allowed to partake in was suddenly there. And then this show happened, and you're like, this is happening now. This is tackling what is prop 8. Is it prop 8? What was it?
Yeah,
Prop,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So all of that, so you know what I mean? So we were creating this show, and it wasn't about, oh, woe is me, I've got to come out. Oh, woe is me, you know, am I going to, well, there was the episode with Patrick worried about the AIDS HIV test, but there is none of that, the tropes that we've come to associate anything about being gay in like TV and film, you have them in. And that wasn't there. It's just about a group of mates existing and being in the moment in the world right now. And I found that so refreshing and brilliant. And now you watch it and it feels like it was groundbreaking. And I would love, that's like everything I've ever done, I would love for that to come back, because just like hanging out in San Francisco all that time and being with them boys was just amazing. And
that'd be awesome.
Doris,
well, I mean, hey, it could happen, because I mean, you being an actor, I'm sure you've followed the craziness of Zack Snyder and the Justice League cut and all of that. And I feel like sometimes, unfortunately, even with film and TV, it's kind of like art. Sometimes there are artists that are tortured and they aren't, appreciated for what they do. And then 20, 30, 40 years go by, and then they look back and they're geniuses. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, the same thing could happen with that series. But I agree. I would love to see something, evolve and follow. Well, good segue to talk art, and then we'll move on to the sister.
Sure.
So I would love to kind of just, kick off with like the spark for the podcast. I know it's been around for 2 years, I think, and you're on season 8.
We started August 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Season 8. Yeah. So
what was the spark to come up with this?
Well, I'm an art geek, a total art geek. So outside of acting, that's my absolute passion. And I met my kindred spirit in Rob Diamond, who's my podcast partner, in 2008 at a Tracy Emin retrospective in Edinburgh in Scotland. And we connected, and we speak on a level which is unlike anyone else I speak to in my life. We have this shorthand, this art fart geekness shorthand with each other. And there was a few podcasts bubbling about, and we thought, well, we did a podcast together that he got interviewed for, and they said to him, do you want to bring a guest and we'll interview you both? And we sat down and we basically, the people who were interviewing us didn't talk. We just talked. And afterwards, both our mums said, you know what, we've learned more about why you love art and why you're so passionate about it from this one podcast than we have talking to you for the last, like, however many years. You should do this. So I said to Rob, well, let's just get a studio. I mean, you can just basically sit and chat shit, and we can say to each other, what shows have you seen? What do we like? What don't we like? So we did one episode, the first one, which you hear, trying to work out what we're going to call it. And then we started asking a few friends, going like, do you want to come on and just talk about art? And they're like, all right. And we just stuck with it. And it's been so pleasurable to do. And then it's just grown and grown. And I think we've really hit our stride during the pandemic, when everyone was in lockdown, because we had access to the world.
Yeah.
Knew where everybody
Everyone's schedules, everyone was available.
Like, they're like, I'm busy. Like, are you? Come on, talk art. So, and then working out how to record remotely, because we did everything in person for so long. So we're able to do it all. And having that, and it's ongoing now, but having that time capsule for culture through Talk Art has been incredible and really sets up. And then we've got like a book coming out that's coming out May next year. There's an American version, and then there's the British version.
May 22?
This year. No, sorry, this year. We're in the 21 now. May this year. I've been so used to saying next year now. Everyone's been saying that, but yeah.
We have a pull quote from you on the book, I think, that ran in the New York Times. So obviously I can leverage that for the write-up. But I did want to ask you, taking it further from like YouTube and from podcasts and even Instagram, right? Like we're all kind of like trained monkeys kind of taking in content on Instagram these days. How do you feel like the book transcends art lovers, and what's special about the book that maybe kind of separates itself from YouTube and Instagram?
Well, I mean, I think books are something that you can have around, and they can be an object in itself. You have coffee table books, but the thing is about the talk art book is that it's approachable for everybody. So art lovers who know a lot will be like, oh shit, wow, you got this interview and this artist. People who don't know anything will be like, oh, I really like this art, I'm really into it. You know, we've properly written it. When they came to us with the book deal, I thought, Kushti, they give us an advance, we just go, here's all the episodes, they'll transcribe it, we'll have like an interview book, brilliant. And they were like, no, we want you to write it. We want you to write your version of the art world, how you found the art world and what excites you. It was like, shit. So we actually properly during lockdown wrote this book. And I was on Broadway at the start of last year. And I was thinking, oh, I did a play and then I'll write this book. But actually, you know, the play finished because of the pandemic and flew back home here. And I was like, I don't think I could have written this book and done the play because it was a lot, but it's properly us. So it's just visually, it's such a satisfyingly beautiful object. The artists that are in there are the most kind of exciting and fresh and game changing. And, you know, in 10 years, they're going to be art history kind of linchpins. They're going to be moments that have kind of movements. Absolutely. Because there's this whole queer art movement that's coming up that's so exciting. And me and Rob are completely like interlinked with these artists and following them. You've got like Salman Tor, who's just opened at the Whitney. It was like shuttered and opened. Doron Langberg, Louis Fratino. There's loads of amazing, incredible voices, and we're like with them. We're like this is like a moment. I look back at. I mean, maybe it's giving ourselves too much kind of credit, but I look back at the Sensation, which is the young British artist movement. When you looked at Damien Hirst, Sarah Lucas, Rachel White-Reid, you know, this like movement in the 90s when it went alongside Britpop, and that changed art history forever. That was a whole kind of movement that came out of this one show. And I really feel like we're, you know, not a talk art, the book, again, we potentially could like change that, but it feels like it's definitely commenting on where we are in history, in culture right now. And it feels really, really exciting.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm excited too, because I think a lot of times, like when you're really digging back into the history of artists who are GLBT, like they were hiding that piece of them. So it's exciting to hear that you're.
Isn't that brilliant though, when you go and see an artist?
That's a huge part of who you are, you know, whether you're
Huge.
an artist or an actor or a teacher, it's like that's a huge part of your point of view. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I can't wait for people to see it. Everybody who has seen like PDS and stuff has just been blown away by it.
Have you gotten like a physical proof, like on with like a binder in your hand or anything yet?
This isn't the right pink, but this is what the cover's going to look like.
Nice.
So, I mean, as an object, it's just as like it's like Keith Haring, like bang, this pink.
Yeah.
It's a bit darker pink than that. That's a bit too shocking.
Awesome.
But we've got like Jerry Saltz has written our forward. You know, that's like what better kind of tick than having Jerry Saltz write your forward. I mean, there's nothing anyway. So it's I feel so proud of Talk Art on the fact that we built that. We built this city on kind of being a geek.
That's amazing.
Geek and passion and it's working and people are really responding to it. And that's like growing something, producing something and it being a success. There's nothing more satisfying.
That's amazing. Have you, just because of the pandemic, have you had a chance to go into any museums like during, and have you enjoyed that experience?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's everything. So whenever there's been lifts and people have opened up or there's been like opportunity to book slots and go in, I'm there. And also I'm a Turner Prize judge this year. So do you know the Turner Prize? You heard of that? Yeah. So it's for British artists who have made a show in the last year. So it's a bit more complicated, obviously, because it's from April last year to April this year.
Yeah.
A bit more complicated to judge shows when so many things haven't been realized, so many things have been shuttered. So so that gives me an added opportunity to get out and see things. But that's I have to, and I get so I get a dopamine hit whenever I go into galleries. As soon as I'm walking in the door, I'm instantly like, what am I going to see? What's this commenting on? What is this reference? How does this make me feel? Where is this going? Who does this relate to? I'm in this kind of, because we're constantly doing talk art episodes, it feels like you're on a dissertation. So now when I look at art, I have like a Rolodex in my head of art history and what's happening and how everything interlinks and relates. That it just feels like, that, I guess that's what makes me a geek, is that,
No, it's amazing. I mean, it's, it's one thing to talk about like your favorite brand, like Louis Vuitton or whatever, but, and then there's nothing wrong with that. We're a very fashion focused brand, but, or magazine rather. But it's cool to talk about art appreciation because, everyone has access to it. Everyone can go to a museum
for
or
everyone. Yeah.
and, like I said before on Instagram, it's like you'd have to be sleeping under a rock to not get access to it. So I think it's really exciting, and I feel and hear your passion, which is,
Oh yeah.
it's
Well,
permeating.
it's just like art is the human experience. All art is storytelling, and you're just like all culture is. It's just someone telling a story, and if that story connects to you, then it can take you somewhere else and change your life.
100%.
It's really simple. Yeah. So that's.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite master artist or modern artist?
I mean, Picasso. I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, but he's the one that's kind of changed the game, and everything goes back to Picasso. When you look at figurative painting now, everything sort of goes back to him, and Manet and Gauguin, all the greats. Photography wise, Wolfgang Tillmans and Nan Golding are two photographers that have been with me since my late teens, that have been a constant energy and a constant like thing that has been important to me and helped me and stayed with me. But I mean, my favorite artists contemporary change all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, and but I go between like figurative abstraction to geometric abstraction to cartoon figuration to like there's like, it goes between all of those, sort of like kind of weaves between all of them.
That's awesome. Well, forgive the pitch for your podcast, but an artist that you might want to like at least do a little research on for an interview because he's incredible. His name is Donald Robertson. His Instagram is Drobertson, like you're drawing. He's this like 55-year-old Canadian guy. He was the creative director for Bobbi Brown Makeup for I think close to 10 years. He's an SVP at Smashbox Makeup for Estee Lauder now. He just moved his family from LA to Texas, but the biggest reason I tell you about him is that he started his career in New York as a music video storyboard drawing artist because he can draw really fast. And, once you look him up, you'll see his art and see if you're into it or not. But he has like 5 kids. He's his little 2 twins that are kind of like 7-year-old skateboarders. They just moved to Texas. But when I first launched Man of Metropolis 5 years ago, I interviewed him because my sister-in-law was his producer at Bobbi Brown way back in like 2012 or whatever. But he's just such an incredible character, super gracious, been like, as far as New York and LA and creative and production is concerned, like he's just, everyone knows who he is. He knows everybody, but he's one of the most humble guys ever. So he'd be super easy to do a podcast with. Anyway.
Drobertson. How'd you say?
Yeah, like when you're drawing a piece of paper, Drobertson. It's just like Donald Robertson combined.
Okay, Robertson.
Yeah. You'll love him.
All right.
So the sister, I mean, holy cow. It's like, I said to my husband, it's like Gone Girl, Girl on a Train meets a little bit of Mindhunter, at least, from the first aesthetics of the first episode. I'd love to know what drew you to the role of Nathan.
I think the fact that you've seen him through 3 lived experiences. So we see him at one stage where he's very young and eager and innocent and excited about life, and his energy is buoyant. And then you see him in the middle of absolute fear and anxiety and depression and basically suicidal. And then he comes out of that, and he then has to maintain this energy to live for Holly, for his wife. He's made a choice, and he keeps his secrets incredibly close. And that weaving that through was something that appealed to me. The fact that, you know, you're playing someone that's incredibly conflicting for an audience because he's done something. It was a mistake, but he has made a choice and done something. But he's a good person, and the audience are with him, and they want him to be okay. But in reality, should he be okay?
Mm.
Is that okay for him to be okay? Unsure. And I wanted to play around. I love the fact playing around with this character that is totally flawed and totally problematic, but I wanted to give him empathy and for people to want to forgive his crimes.
Mm.
That was something that really interested me. I always look for emotional characters and emotional depth, and he felt like he was very deep. There was a lot going on.
When you look at a character like this and a series like this, it's a limited series. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you immediately go in your mind to references of characters or books or movies that you grew up watching, or that maybe other scripts that you've read that you've auditioned for? Or do you work with the director and script writers to kind of craft this Nathan together? I'm just curious.
Well, a lot of time with TV, that's more theatre. You craft it and you play around with TV. Normally, it's like, here you go, we're shooting in a few weeks. You know what you're doing, right? Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. There's two ways of answering that. Do I think of parts that have happened before or characters? I guess so, but it's more an energy. Like for many, many years, and I still do now slightly, but not as much as I did. I was obsessed with Angels in America before I did the stage show playing Joe Pitt. I was obsessed with the HBO show. I must have watched that 15 times all the way through. Obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. Every time I did a TV show and I was trying to get in the zone, I'd be like, imagine you're in that production of HBO's Angels in America, with the music, with Thomas Newman's music, with the dialogue, with them characters, and it would take me somewhere, and I could be my best. But in reality, characters I play are based on people I've met, or a lot of the time I go back to being at senior school and how I felt at senior school and how I projected people felt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I like to base my characters on real people that I could have met, or I did meet, or I could have hung out with or known, I think. But for a mood, for tonally, I try and I can think of shows, yeah.
It's interesting. And senior school, is that high school or college? Sorry.
High school. Yeah, high school.
Got it. So obviously you had mentioned there were kind of three lived experiences for Nathan in the series. This is probably more of an operations question about filmmaking and series making. But so did they kind of start filming?
No, I wish.
2009, 2013, like there's it like all over
the place. I think when they wrote it, I think Neil Cross assumed that that's how you would film it. But in reality, you could never schedule a show like that. It's impossible. So Sophie Slotover was our makeup designer, and she had the responsibility to make me different ages several times a day, every day. It was flipping about all over the place. So one morning I'd be like 20, the next morning, then an hour later I'd be 26. Then after lunch I'd be the later stage. Then we'd have to go back to the earlier stage because we had to shoot it in the dark. It was a relentless schedule. So it was dancing around all over the place. So that my responsibility for the part was maintain his energy at them three different stages, and then everyone else around me had to kind of do all the dancing on my hair and like makeup and lighting and stuff like that.
That's amazing. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that sometimes you have to like go halfway around the world or the country to film certain scenes and stuff. But That's amazing that you guys had to do that. Your makeup artist is a magician, I
She
suppose.
is. She's Sophie Slotova. She is, really is.
That's awesome. I guess the last question around this, and then we'll kind of round out with like some fun fashion things, and then let you go. Is I guess asking you about, the character is a pretty heavy character. Do you take that home with you? How do
Yeah.
you decompress? How do you get back into character when you're on set to film?
Something a lot. I sort of prided myself for many years that I didn't take a lot home with me. A lot of jobs I did, I left them at work, and it was really fun. And I found even if it was really intense stuff you were tackling, I was able to leave it behind, just shake it off.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a few roles in the last few years that have fucked me up, that have stayed
Mm-hmm.
with me, and The Sister was one of them. Playing Joe Pitt in Angels in America was another one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that I literally took home that affected me. And with The Sister, a lot that came from the work schedule, and every day was full on, and every scene is anxiety, lying, fear, crying. It was a very intense state of mind. And the thing is, you trick your body into having these reactions, but your body doesn't know they're not real, but you know they're not real. So there's some sort of like, physical reaction that your body has, a chemical kind of spurt, for want of a better word, that you carry around with you afterwards. And this was a long, like a 3-month shoot that was just, it was a lot. And again with Joe Pitt in Angels America, is that I love that show. I love Millennium Approaches because there's so much hope for Joe. And then in Perestroika, every character basically hates him. He has like 4 hours of everyone shouting in his face, "You're a fucking cunt. I hate you." And you take that on, and then at the end he gets slapped by Harper, and then I go down to my dressing room, and I wait, and while every other character has their denouement, has their moment of, well, here we are, more life, and they're all sat by the fountain, Bethesda Fountain, with my own mother, Joe Pitt's mum, who is there with all the gays suddenly, being Mama Pitt, and her own son isn't there. He doesn't get his moment of, release. He doesn't get his moment of going like, "Oh, there's more hope, more life, keep going." He's just slapped and then left. And then I come on for the curtain call, and then I go home. And I would just leave there being like, this feels shit. This feels really shit. And that stayed with me. But that felt so rewarding because it was so felt. There's something about that, even though it was hard and that feeling wasn't pleasurable, there's a pleasure in the fact that you are experiencing that, because that is art and that is the role, and that means that you've really taken it on under my skin. Yeah. So it went to New York, and I couldn't do it. I think I'd have thrown myself off a bridge. It was one of these things that was just, it really, really affected me. Yeah. And I went for it. And it was a tough, it was 13-week rehearsals. It was a really tough project. I'm really proud of it. I loved it. And it changed my life and career and everything. But it was one of them ones that I took home too much.
How do you, sorry to interrupt, keep going.
No, and The Sister is one of them ones that bleeds too much into your happiness.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously with the pandemic, I think probably everyone is feeling like they're outside of their mind every once in a while over the last, almost 11 months. And I feel like you kind of explaining going there with these specific characters, it's like you unlock this beast, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
How do you put it back in how do you put the beast away? Like, do you do meditation? Do you have therapists? Do you
I've done all that. Yeah, I've done all that. I had a good full year of therapy, and I learnt meditation and Ashtanga, and yeah, that I had a lot of things. I think I was definitely broken after Angels in America for a while, and I went straight to New York and filmed Quantico. I think I was there, and they were doing Angels in America on Broadway while I was filming Quantico in New York.
Yeah.
And I didn't go past the theater. I didn't go anywhere near. I saw a
Wow.
couple of the actors briefly, but I was like, so like that has to stay there. I can't go anywhere near that, and it's happening just down the road.
That could be your second book, that whole experience
I mean,
after the art book. I don't know. I would read it.
I mean, it's an interesting. Yeah, there was a lot going on then, and that was like all over the place.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
that took a while to kind of crawl out of, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, I had since that experience, I haven't had, but a part of me is also like, that's the nature of the beast. If you're going to be instinctive and if you're going to draw on deep shit that you kind of normal people don't really use or access,
Yeah.
that's what being an actor is about. So
100%. It's kind of like playing in the NFL. Like if you're going to play in the NFL, like you have to know that like tearing your ACL or getting a concussion, like those things are unfortunately go with the territory. And I was doing
it is what it is.
the same thing. If you're going to dive in deep, you have to be prepared for
100%. If you want to be the best, if you want to walk away from it feeling like I did my best there, then you've got to go there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, on a lighter note,
yeah,
fashion for a moment.
Let's talk about fashion.
This has been, obviously job-wise, this has been a great experience, but personally, I've just been really enjoying our conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, on the style and fashion side, I mean, obviously with being an actor and sort of being also a lover of art, I think fashion and style must play a really, critical role in your lifestyle of just being every day. Joseph Sinclair and you guys just did an incredible story for us. We can't wait to run next week. But I'd love for you to kind of just share with me some of your thoughts on your own personal style and fashion, and maybe if there was like a moment or a look that really stands out in your mind, of maybe, I don't know if it's a red carpet look or if it's a award ceremony look or just your general aesthetic.
I think my general aesthetic is I like classic. I like to look. I think when I was younger, I used to really try and create a persona. I used to wear a lot of Vivienne Westwood. I used to buy like big kipper ties, and I thought I'm going to curate this persona, which is very fashionable, and I'd spend lots of money on things. I look back, I looked ridiculous. I think the thing with me is that because I've got this kind of rubbery face and sticky out ears, and I'm now going sort of grey and all this sort of shit, that I don't need to put a hat on a hat. I think I need my clothes to feel kind of neutral and classic and well made and beautiful cuts. So I think I always go for simplicity over logos or over something that's really flashy. I like that. Probably like really, I don't know, like masculine and just like knows itself and not, I hate it when you put something on and you're wearing something.
Right.
You've got a suit and
like you're playing a character versus being
exactly. Or you've got a suit and it looks great, but the sleeves, these things that when you put your arm up, you can feel it in your joints. I hate all that. It needs to feel comfortable. Yeah. So I have like go-to brands, and a lot of things are like Paul Smith. I absolutely love. I asked them to dress me for a while. Louis Vuitton was dressing me, and you mentioned Louis Vuitton earlier, but they were brilliant. And that's when Kim Jones was working with them. I think what he did with Louis Vuitton and what he does wherever he goes, basically, Kim's just a genius. So he's someone that I've always watched and always kind of go, oh, I like them, Kim. Can you send me a pair of them? And he's like, yep. He's a really lovely man to know. He's obsessed with art. He's coming on Talk Art soon. That's all in the yeah. But he's got an incredible art collection, and he collects literature, first edition. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I do.
He has like first editions of Virginia Woolf that she writes to fucking, her lovers, saying like, this is the first edition, here you go. And he's got them. It's like insane, his collection. And it's, he's investing in such beautiful things and creating this archive. It's this library of just like magic. So people like that. For my daily, I love Stone Island. That's a brand, the Italian brand. There's a great store there in New York. I spend a lot of money staying on the J. Crew, which is closed down in the UK, but you can still buy it online. But I love a J. Crew broken in t-shirt and chinos. I'm really kind of
Do you have HBO Max over there?
no.
Damn, because gosh, what's her name? Jenna Lyons, who's the creative director for J. Crew for like 21 years or something. She is the funniest reality fashion.
Oh, really?
On HBO Max right now, and you'd love it.
What's it called?
It's called Stylish.
Okay.
But I think it was filmed and created exclusively for HBO Max, so I don't know how it works over there. But anyway, when it does come out, I think you'll really like it because I've kind of gone way right and stopped watching any reality TV for probably 5 or 6 years. But
not even RuPaul.
It,
oh my God, you're missing out. You miss if you got to see the British one.
I'll give it a try. Over the holidays, I was just bored and I jumped into Stylish and I became like addicted. But anyway.
Oh, okay. I'll have to try and check that out. No, but you can sort of get an idea for what I like, and that's going out. And if people are going to see you, and if you're going to see mates who are going out. But normally at home here, me and my boyfriend just share the same fucking like jogging bottoms.
Yeah.
And t-shirt and shorts and just slob about, because we've been in lockdown anyway. And there's like on the back of the door, there's just like jogging bottoms hanging up. And you just shove them on in the morning, and it's so easy. And I sometimes walk around. I sometimes walk the dogs, and I'm like, if someone was to take a photo right now, I look like Helena Bonham Carter. I look like I'm going to be like, what the hell was he thinking?
No Vivian Westwood here.
Yeah, but I'm just like, put that on. And I walk out the door and I'm like, I look ridiculous. I look like a clown. But you're like, whatever, just shove it on, not thinking about it.
Are you guys like Nike, Adidas, Puma? Like what's your...
Not Puma. What do we like, Steve? Nike, Adidas, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, we have the word here called chav. So I guess it's that sort of, but it's more upmarket chav. It's more kind of high-end sportswear.
Did you say Chad?
Chav. C-H-A-V is a word.
I was like, do they like we have like Karen for like the annoying woman?
Yeah, no, it's not Karen. It's not a Karen. It's definitely not a Karen. It's not. We don't go to HR because we don't like our jogging bottoms. But we are. It's more. How would you describe chav? Chav is like, kind of like. How would you describe it, Steve?
Blue collar meets sport.
He said blue collar meets sport. Kind of just like your everyday man.
What's that? Ian Tegger. I know I butchered his name. He was in that movie with like the kind of like 007 for like young guys. A British actor. He played Elton John.
Oh, Taron Egerton.
Taron Egerton. Like, didn't he like when they first found him? He was kind of like a roughneck with like that. Maybe is that the look you're talking about? I don't know.
Like
I've been to London twice.
His character in Kingsman, Eggsy, that is a chav.
Right.
Describe, but an upmarket chav.
I'm with you.
Got it. You can see hear me, you see me. Yes. But it's more kind of like, yeah. But I would say I'm more just like neutral, comfortable, classic.
Got it. Awesome.
Have you seen the pictures then of our shoot? Are they good?
They're amazing. You haven't seen them?
No.
Oh, yeah, they're amazing. There were so many. Like, you guys shot in the Soho London hotel, and Joseph sent me so many amazing images, and I'll work with your PR to send you a proof sheet or something so you can see.
Lovely. All right, great.
But I mean, the story comes out in like 5 or 6 days, so.
Okay, great.
So last thing. So, like, I'm a big comic book movie guy.
Yes.
Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not like one over the other. I just love it all as long as it's good. If you could be, and I know you've been in Supergirl and some other stuff, but like if you could be like the lead hero in a DC or Marvel comic book movie, like what would be your dream character and why?
God, what is this one that's actually been written?
No, anything. You could reboot yourself as Superman. You could be.
Well, I mean, I like playing. I love playing the Ray, and being with Wentworth Miller when we did Flash together, and I came in and did that. That was very exciting
Yeah.
to be like an out superhero. I guess that would feel like it's still needed, you know, to be that voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know, to be like a, I don't know really.
No wrong answer.
I want to fly.
Okay.
I guess when you first said it, I said something like Silver Surfer, but like a different color.
The hot pink surfer.
Oh, pink, yeah, shocking pink surfer. That's what I want to be.
Nice. All right, sir. Well, I know we probably went a little longer than I was supposed to, but I thank you for being such a good sport. And
Yeah,
it was such a pleasure speaking with you
Yeah,
today.
you too, sir. Thank you very much. I'm excited to see the magazine.
I'm
Awesome.
Seth Travis. I'm a creative director here in New York City and also founder of Man of Metropolis and Metropolis Report. Thanks to our guest, Russell Tovey, and all of his upcoming projects, which include his awesome podcast, Talk Art, and his forthcoming book with the same title, Talk Art.